speak. Our council members are taking notes of your name, and we'll call you in the order in which you put your name to make a comment about G&T, and we, the council, are listening. We have Dr. Digavaya is here, she's listening. Dr. Pitt will be listening to all of your comments so we can elevate your voices as we write our next feedback letter to the DOE. Also, later on, we're gonna ask all of our council members to speak about this topic in short, about their thoughts about the G&T program. But before we do so, I'm gonna ask Dr. Mauricio Digavaya, our executive superintendent, to speak at this point. Dr. Digavaya.
Oh, hold on. I think I.
Dr. Digavaya, are you hearing me?
Unmute. Yeah, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, thank you so much. Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you are.
All right, awesome, awesome. So yeah, I'm in two places, President Ron Johnson and D28. I went to, my sound was going in and out, and I wanted to make sure that it was good. So I'm also on my phone. Good evening, everyone. It is so great to be in your presence. As President Ram Johnson said, I am Dr. Maury Digavaya. I'm the Executive Superintendent for Queens South. It's a privilege and honor to be in this conversation, and I find it to be a very timely conversation. So as the Executive Superintendent, my core role is to bridge the work of the Borough Support Office and the superintendents. I often act as a liaison between those two entities and the central offices. So my main goal here tonight is to hear your concerns, is to hear your questions. Of course, where possible, I will definitely answer them. In terms of the future of G&T, I've shared with CEC28 that we really want to get enrollment in on this conversation, and also just to be fully transparent, those conversations are still very much so in action. So this conversation is extremely timely. I'm a firm believer in making sure that the community gets heard, and being that policies are still very much so being crafted and created, getting your voice in is key. So I'll be here taking notes. I'll be reading along in the chat. Of course, if anything pops up that I have the answers to, I will gladly answer that. The good news about today in G&T is that our students were notified of their SHAZAT, the specialized high school exam results. I don't have the details just yet for Queens South, because it just came out today. It's hot off the presses. But for those of you whose children applied for those tests, applied to take those tests, you should have gotten the results today. So things are moving and shaking in G&T, and I'm happy to be here and be a part of this conversation. And also, I met last week, President Ram Johnson. I missed you on this one, but the empathy interviews, I know it was one of those DOE things that happened at the last minute, but I tried to grab as many parents as possible. So I'm going to consider this conversation, District 28's, a part of the empathy conversation. And in the empathy conversation, we're really looking to hear from different stakeholders throughout the Department of Education about what's working and what's needed. Again, we are in about to wrap up April, almost time for May, and we are looking at closing out the school year strong, having summer school open up powerfully, and of course, reopen with our children fully in school in the fall. So to make that happen, the G&T conversation is a part of that. So even if it's not a question, but it's a comment, I'll be just monitoring the chat for those as well. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. It's always our honor and pleasure to have your presence in our meetings. You bring this fire to education that we have not seen in a long time. We appreciate that. We recognize that. And we as a district, we look forward to continue to working with you to elevate the voices of every parent in our community. Thank you, Dr. Digavaya. At this point, I'm just going to check and make sure Dr. Pitt will be here. She did let us know that she has a prior commitment. So Sonia, Sonia, can you please give us a check at any time? I just want to acknowledge Sonia Rueda. She is from the district's office also. Sonia, are you here? Can someone help give her rights to unmute?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here, but it's exciting to hear parents have the opportunity to discuss issues, to give your points of view. So this is a wonderful opportunity. Please take advantage of it. This is an amazing CEC that is very open and inclusive. So thank you again, and it's so good to see parents here this evening.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you for all that you do. Sonia is right. one thing that CEC28 prides itself on is that providing these kind of platforms to get community feedback, and we are doing that tonight. Sonia, please let us know when Dr. Pate gets here. We'd appreciate that, so then we can bring her on to bring greetings and to say a few words. Also tonight we have from FACE, we have our FACE liaison. We have Bibi Madden here. Bibi, can you please say a few words?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Vijay. Good evening, everyone. It is wonderful and a pleasure to be in community with all of you. I think I'm here, as Dr. Digovaya said, we are here to listen. We certainly appreciate the platform where parents' voices are being amplified, and we will be taking our notes. So I am, as a liaison, supporting the CEC, and I help them craft these spaces, how they can get the community involved and amplify their voices. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for what you do, and we appreciate you and value your work in our district. Thank you so much, Bibi. Okay, so the next steps we're going to do right now is we're going to have council members Elena Amenova and council member Ted Chang discuss the last letter we wrote to the DOE about gifted and talented, which express the concerns, comments, and feelings of parents in District 28. So first I'll ask Elena Amenova to discuss what happened with that letter and her part. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming and making the time for this important issue with all of the parents and educators here with us tonight. We did actually, the issue was brought up at one of the CEC monthly meetings, and as the CEC Council, we definitely take your voice seriously. And we did do some additional research about the gifted and talented education, and drafted a letter which you know, presented both points of view, right? Some that have been presented from both ends of the spectrum. I do want to talk about the aspect of the gifted and talented education and why it is important, as is education for all levels of academic ability. We want to ensure basically that all students are catered for, and lessons are differentiated in a way that remains a priority, and this currently is a challenge for teachers, right? Because of different levels that the students are at within a classroom. Additionally, I want to point it out that you know, in the letter we did highlight that gifted students need gifted programming in many cases, because you know, general education program that we have today is not yet ready to meet the needs of gifted students due to lack of maybe general education, general educators training in gifted education, and the pressure classroom teachers potentially face to raise the performance of their struggling students, right? So to tailor to all the full spectrum is not as easy. And actually the term gifted and talented, when used with respect to students, children, or youth even, means that the children who give evidence of high achievement capability, right, in such areas as maybe in creative, artistic, intellectual, even leadership capacity from young age in specific academic fields, or kids that just need potentially services or activities that ordinarily not provided by the school in a regular classroom setting to fully develop those capabilities. We also looked at you know, the gifted individuals as those who demonstrated through the research and through some of the parents' feedback that we got through emails, that those kids demonstrate outstanding level of aptitude or even competence in certain domains and certain capabilities. Similar how we must tailor to the special needs children, we also need to tailor to the needs of our gifted and talented children. There's a lot of research out there for that. In the letter, we highlighted that the currently gifted and talented tests is given for families of prospective kindergarten through 3rd grade students who are applying for the next academic year, right? So they usually take it a year in advance. And in District 28 currently, we have 4 gifted and talented programs in PS 121, PS 144, PS 174, and PS 120. And not to mention, we have many children living in our district attending citywide gifted and talented schools. Now, we definitely highlighted that from parents' feedback that there's a strong interest from families in District 28 in the program, and we specified the data for 2019 admissions, because I think at the time of the letter 2020 data was not available, and I think still not available because I don't think we have 2020 data. The number of students who took the exam was 1,736 kids, which is 5% of all test takers throughout New York City. And it's 2% higher than the average per district. What does it mean? It means basically that our children here and our parents here in the district have high interest in having the ability to be tested for a GNT. And even though we have only 4 schools in the district, maybe this is an opportunity for us to actually influence the educators and bring more gifted and talented programs into our schools.
Thank you so much, Elena. Thank you so much. And that was the part of the letter that we sent out that advocated for parents who wants a GNT program. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly to all of you, because CEC28, as you all know, is about transparency, right? Whatever we know, we want to share to you. And I'm going to share on to you all right now my screen, which shows the data for the last 3 years, 2018, 2019, and 2020. Right now, it's kind of premature to show the ones for 2021. If you look down, it has all the districts here. And it also shows you by district what the numbers are that apply. Those
We don't see your screen yet, Vijay. I'm not sure.
No, I'm sorry. Is it not? It's coming up? No, not yet.
Does anyone see it? Because I just see it says Vijay started sharing the screen.
It's a black screen, BJ.
Oh, now we see it. There we go. Perfect.
And I was talking along. There you go. So that happens. Okay. So does everyone see? So you see now? Yeah, that's great.
We see it now. It's good.
Thank you. So right here, you have 3 columns. And let me see if I scroll up a little bit here. Perfect. You'll see 2018, GNT, 2019, and 2020. So dear community, these are the numbers of those who were tested, those who were eligible after the tests, those who after the applicants, and then the number of offers that happened. If we scroll down to GNT, so District 28, down here, you'll see all the numbers that you need to know about what we have in our district here. As you can see, in 2018, there's 751 that was tested. Eligible, there was 198. Applicants, 164. And offers, there was 119. 2019, we had 711 tested students. Eligible was 165. Applicants was 128 and 96 offers. And then in 2020, well, most recent data we have here is 675 were tested. Eligible were 172. Applicants is 151 and the offers were 109. Do not panic. I will share this information. We'll make sure we have this information on our website, so you can all look at it at your leisure when you want to do so. That's the information we have that we're going to be looking at and considering when we talk about the GNT future, right? From the District 28's perspective. So now I'll ask next member is Ted Chang, who will talk about the other half of the letter we wrote for the GNT program. Ted Chang.
Thanks, Vijay. So yes, hi everyone. My name is Ted Chang. I'm the chair of the Equity Committee, and so we contributed to sort of the second half of that letter. I guess, just high level, I just want to say that, we are all very concerned about the education of our children, and that's the passion that has brought everyone here tonight. And I just want to sort of, acknowledge that and just, I completely, and I think everyone in these debates really is passionate about the education of students. And, from where I sit, I sense that sometimes the there are things that are almost symbolic. And I think G&T is one of those things where it just seems like it's a symbol of good education. And I don't think anyone on any side of these debates questions the importance of good education. And I think that's kind of where some of this kind of gets lost is, we have these grand, we have these
at all.
We have these things, we have programs that sort of seem like these beacons of quality education, because that's the sound, that's what the program is called. It's literally called Gifted and Talented. And so for a lot of us, to talk about changing a program like that can really feel scary. And
Ted, hold
so
on a second, please. Ted, hold on a second, please. Can we, I'm going to mute everybody, and then Ted, I'm going to ask, they shouldn't be able to allow them to unmute themselves. Yes, I'm muting everyone here. And then Ted, can you, your host, so you can unmute yourself now? No. Okay, so can we give back Ted? If you can just focus
Ted, you should be able to unmute yourself.
And Ted, if you guys focus on the letter part for now, and then we'll give our personal opinions after, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Okay, here we go. Well, it's kind of a lead into the sort of the stuff in the letter. So what I just want to say is that, like, when we talk about the different options with regards to G&T education, I just want to sort of emphasize that, everyone really values quality education for all students. And that is not really that's not in question. And so when we talk about, there are different options, and when we look at different options on how to deliver G&T education, what's really being discussed is, is this the right way to do it? Are the costs and benefits proportionate? We're trying to look at what are kids getting out of the current format, and what are the costs? And so I just want to emphasize that it's not about, like, it's not about the symbol of quality education, because I know that sometimes we want to reduce things to simple symbols, like this is a good school and this is a bad school. This is a good program and that's not. And of course, those sort of ways of simplifying things make it simpler for us as families, because then we can say, like, oh, well, I want that. That's good education and I want that. And of course, that's what we tend to do. But, others may chime in differently, but, I spent 2 years teaching English as a second language when I was younger. And I can tell you from my own personal experience teaching that there's a vastly different thing when you talk about, like, oh, here's a program there's a very different thing to actually be in a classroom and teaching 20 different children, and so, or 30 different children, 32, 34. And so that's why it's really important to talk a little bit more about how is G&T actually being delivered now? How does that actually serve or not serve the students? And I think when you get into the real nitty gritty of talking about, like, how are things working or not working, there are some real costs and benefits to doing it, depending on which mode you choose. And so, and obviously, the reason the DOE wants to engage parents is so that, we can hear from everyone. And I think that that's a really important goal and an important process. And I just hope that everyone here, comes into this with an open mind, because I think it's, we're currently going through elections. And I think, it is important that for us to move forward together as a district, we all need to come into things with an open mind and think about options. Because if we don't come into it with an open mind, it's really hard to build consensus in the district and find ways to move forward together as a united district. And it is my sincere hope that more of us can, as we talk and we have dialogue on these issues, that we can hear each other and we can understand the different perspectives, and then hopefully that will help our district move forward to finding things that will work for the most students. So why don't I pull up some of the letter here. So yeah, and so the first thing in the letter was just talking about how that gifted and talented label elicits our anxieties as families, because there isn't a single family that doesn't want their child to be quote unquote gifted and talented. And so, you know, right there, it sort of created this, you know, emotional issue for any parent. But the issue that we sort of uncovered looking at some of the data was that there are some very strong correlations between who enrolls in G&T and class, race, disability status, multilingual learner status, you know, many of these sort of categories that you would not expect it to correlate with if G&T was some sort of pure thing that was, you know, what it's supposed to be. You know, if it's supposed to select for students, you know, that have these, you know, unique aptitudes, let's say that's the goal, then you would think it wouldn't correlate with class. And yet G&T admissions correlate extremely strongly with class. At the citywide schools, you have 20% of the students that are eligible for free and reduced price lunch, whereas in general education, whereas in the rest of the student population, the students eligible for free and reduced price lunch is 73%. So there's almost like a 50-point difference there between G&T students and at the citywide schools and non-G&T students. So that kind of raises a really important question: is, do these systems of selecting students actually select what they're supposedly selecting for? I mean, if there are these massive differences in socioeconomic status, you know, and you're selecting this extremely affluent group of kids, then is there something else going on? And so I think that's, you know, it raises a question. It doesn't say that there's a specific answer to that question, but it raises an important question: are we doing things the way that would benefit the most children? Similarly, if you look at race, Black and Latinx students are selected at far lower rates than their presence in the general student population. Students with IEPs are also selected at much lower rates. At the citywide schools, you know, they are 4% of the citywide schools versus 20% of the total student population. And then, you know, even with multilingual learners, you know, here in District 28, we have 3 of the 4 programs that don't enroll a single multilingual learner. And, you know, that just, you know, raises some concerns, because if it's really selecting based on some sort of aptitude, then why would it be so, why would language have anything to do with it? You know, like, so what I think the concerns that were raised in the letter were just that it's not that this type of education is important. It is important to deliver a quality education to every child, and to find educational systems that work for as many students as we can provide. But the real question is, you know, are we really delivering that in the current format? And I just want to give some anecdotes.
Quick time check for you, Ted. Quick time check.
Sure. I just want to give some quick anecdotes, which I think are just sort of give you a sense for why these things might not be working the way they're supposed to be working. You know, I know a kid in my own school who, when he entered in kindergarten, was reading, you know, way past where any reasonable pre-K kid should have been reading. And I mean, but he completely, his score was just, he couldn't even sit still for the test, And so if we're trying to select a certain type of student, is this test selecting them? And then and then even, in the G&T programs, there are kids that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people assume that like, the kids in the programs they all must be like heading to Harvard. And the reality is that even in the G&T classrooms, the teachers have to differentiate. They have to figure out who, some kids have aptitudes on certain things. And so they work with the needs of the students. And the same thing is happening in the general education classrooms. And so I think we need to bring it down back to pedagogy and to the students. And how do we help all of them in the best way possible?
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
So I just want to remind everyone that this letter is on our website under resolutions and letters. So you can always view that at your leisure and really have a read fully of what that letter contained. We just wanted to make sure we break it down here to some degree for those who may not have seen that letter as yet. And our website is CEC28.org. Let's ask Erica Cooper if you could say 2 words about the chat, Erica. Thank you.
VJ,
okay, hello everyone. I'm sorry, go ahead, Barbara.
No, I'm just reminding VJ that
I'm calling on her right after. Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, again, parents, welcome. And we just want you to know that if you have any questions or concerns or comments, please write the word speak after your name in the chat room, and we will call on you at the end of this meeting. This is your opportunity to bring up any questions or concerns regarding the Gifted and Talented program. Again, we ask you to be respectful in the chat room. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you. Don't leave, right? Thank you, Erica. She has that voice that doesn't perfectly tell you. And my friends, we have the honor of having, can someone please make sure Dr. Pate is a host? She's there. We have the honor of welcoming our amazing D20 superintendent, who we are so lucky to have with us today, and also in this room with our executive superintendent, Dr. Mauricio de Gavaya. So at this time, I'll ask our superintendent to say a few words. And right after that, we're going to have the public comment. Please put your name, let's put the word speak in the chat, as Jerica mentioned, and we want to hear your voice. This is exactly what this is for. We want to leave as much time to hear all of you say what you're going to say about G&T, and we're going to give everyone 2 minutes just to make sure we give everyone enough time. I know we usually do 3 minutes, but we have a lot of speakers. So you have 2 minutes to do so. We're going to ask Howard if you can help us with timing tonight. We appreciate that. And right before we go into the public comment, we're going to have our council members. I'll call each of you council members to give your feedback, give us 2 minutes about what your thoughts are about the G&T program and the future of it. Dr. Pate.
Good evening, everyone. I am really very happy to be here on today to have this conversation with our community of leaders. I'm thankful that I'm one of 148 people who are here to discuss and just talk about this very important conversation for our district, but really the city as a whole. It goes without saying that you have to examine what you do. And to throw support to our CEC for doing the work of looking at data around this subject. It really matters that we investigate what we're doing and the impact it has on our children and our families. When some say math is a true language, right? When you look at numbers with regard to who is sitting in what seats, it does make you ask questions. However, I come from a background, my children went to progressive schools. And so I believe that there's a place for every child and that there should be a place for every child in a system that brags about 1.1 million children in schools, which I know that I'm privileged to serve in this environment. I believe that there should be a school for every child, that there should be a space that addresses the learning needs, all of the learning needs of our children. And so I am not here to say today that we close one option in support of another option. What I am saying is that we think about what our data is telling us and that we think about how we can make this an equitable process for as many folks as we can, but also that everyone feels and understands that they're heard. I think we can sometimes be guilty of making decisions without adequate input. As you know, from the day I took the seat, I'm committed to communication. I'm committed to hearing. Some will say I move a little slower, right? Because I want to try to get as many people into the conversation as possible. And that is true. That's true. I just came out of another meeting, which is why I'm late getting here, talking about that as a leadership trait, right? That sometimes you have to slow down to go fast. And so tonight is an example of slowing down in order to go fast, because I believe that when we can get people to have a shared understanding of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it, and our system would be, I believe, an even stronger system. And we're plenty strong. With all of the faults, there is nothing perfect on planet Earth. Sorry. But we have a really strong system. I'm privileged to be here. I know I'm looking at chats are popping up, and y'all know I love you, so keep it coming. I think someone said there's like a word salad. Well, it's 7 o'clock and we've been talking all day, so you're gonna get a little bit of salad. I'm sorry, I'm hungry. I had a cookie, and yeah, that's not making my success story for summer look good. But I'm here with you, and I'm gonna stay with you. I'm gonna stay with you. Because these are conversations that we've got to have. We want to make sure that even as Central has taken on the role of, both receiving the application and then conducting a randomized lottery, we have sufficient enough seats. One of the things that was shared, one of the pieces of data that was shared with you is sort of our historical seats in this district, historical placement in District 28 for gifted and talented. What does that mean moving forward? We are really talking to the powers that be in order to create more opportunity for varied and a variety of types of learning environments within District 2028. So what I ideally want to see is that we increase the options for families within this district. We should not have to leave our district to get the kind of education that we desire for our children. I am advocating with the Office of Enrollment. I'm advocating with the Department of District Planning in order to do that. So as we communicate that we want specialized programs in our school, in our district, as we communicate that we want more arts-focused programs, as we communicate that we want NEST programs, that does not exclude G&T. We want to make sure that our families in this district have the seats available to them for the diverse learners in this community. So that's my stance. That's where I am on every conversation. Feel free to join me on every conversation. And I'm the one who has to look at people, look at me like, what are we getting here? You're getting a D28 advocate. That's what you're getting. And so that's the role I'm playing here today, because I am listening with both my ears and some of my toes, right? Because I need to understand. And then when we have these conversations with the powers that be, we can state emphatically what it is that the community wants and needs. You know that my pay grade is not that high where I'm making those decisions at a system level. But I certainly hold the trumpet and I know how to blow it. So it's my pleasure to be here with you on tonight. I'm going to continue to be here. I'm honored to even be with my executive superintendent, Dr. Digovaya, who is here with us on tonight as well. Thank you so very much for all of the work that she does. I dare say if you knew just a % of what she has been doing on behalf of this district, its leaders, its students, you would be, I am impressed. You would be amazed at what of some of the things that she is doing. So I'm thankful that you are here tonight with us. And I'm going to release this mic to someone else's hand.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pate. The passion is there, the voice is there, and the ear is, most importantly, it's here, it's present. So I want to call down the list of our council members. Howard, we're going to give our council members the same time as everyone else, 2 minutes, please. And unmute and give us a time check. So Barbara Williams, you have 2 minutes to speak about this topic. Go ahead.
Basically, Dr. Pate said everything that I was gonna say, honestly. But I believe if they're gonna revamp the program, I believe the GNT program should be available and expanded to all schools, not just a selective bunch, because there's gifted and talented in every child. And that's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, that was 30 seconds. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to have Second Vice President Elena. This is your personal point of view.
Yes, personal point of view. I definitely in agreement there that in order to do right by our children, we need to expand, especially within District 28, from 4 schools that we currently have to all of the schools. Because again, every child deserves a chance, and there's multiple kids that are being turned down, including my son, who never got a seat but tested for it and never actually had a chance to be in a GNT program because we don't have enough seats in the district. And there's multiple of kids that don't have the same chance. And even those that get into the citywide program choose not to go because they don't want the long commute to the city. So we need to provide more opportunity, not to reduce them for the district children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to have is Recording Secretary Erica Cooper.
Yes. Hello. Thank you. And to piggyback on everything that Dr. Pate said, she said it so well. We need to think about the education of everyone. And I just asking the parents tonight to just to have an open mind. You know, we have to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to a great education in the district. And we should not limit ourselves. So we need to hear what the other side says. We need to be open to listen, to hear the concerns of everyone. And I just want to let parents also be aware that this letter that came about was because of a parent that was for the gifted and talented and wanted us to side on that. And again, as being transparent in this district, we said, hey, we have to hear all the views. We have to hear all the sides. So it wasn't one person on the CEC writing this letter. So no one should be targeted that way. This was a consensus. So again, let's be open-minded, let's hear, and that's what we're here to discuss. And I just want to add that I feel that we can't keep the same protocols and policy that we had 10, 20, how many years ago? Things are changing. And we need to be able to adapt to those changes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erica Cooper. Is Andy, are you here? Andy Meadows-King? I don't think he's here. So we're just going to move down to member Ted Chang, your personal opinion.
Thanks, Vijay. My personal thoughts are just that, like, as we move forward, I personally, just because I was a teacher and I do see so many differences within classrooms, week to week, month to month. I mean, you can have a kid who speeds ahead for a while and then starts to struggle. I really want to have more of a focus on pedagogy rather than focusing on how do we separate the students, because I think I almost think that, like, focusing on how to separate students is really sort of the absence of pedagogy. It's sort of saying that you don't have any way to teach students. And what I observe just from hearing other families, I mean, I have G&T families telling me that their kid doesn't like to read, and that's, to me, like, what I would like to see is that every child comes out of their elementary school years with a passion for reading. To me, like, putting them in that G&T class didn't solve the problem of delivering a passion for reading to that child. And so that child is not being served just by being in that classroom. And I think that, I would like to see much more of a focus on pedagogy and creating learners who are passionate about learning, passionate about math, passionate about English, and passionate about all these other sort of things that we don't necessarily test the kids on, but could turn out to be that child's superpower. And so I would very much like to see more of a focus on developing talents and developing children's passions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Ted takes up all his time. I tell you, he don't play. Great job. Next we're gonna have is Micah Morrison. Does Micah show up? Micah, are you here? Micah is not here. So I know Robert did come, so we'll mark Robert present. Robert, Dr. Tamayev.
Hi, so thank you. I think any way you revamp the system, revamping from the beginning or making drastic changes right off the bat, it generally does not work. The system is not great. I agree. Some 4-year-olds cannot sit through. My own son will not sit through. He's 3 now. Guarantee you there's no way he's sitting through this test. But that doesn't mean that a child who can should not. If you want to say something like we need to postpone for a couple of years, wait till they're 2 years old, that's fair. But to fully change the system just because your child didn't get in is not the way to think about this. We have to think of it as a whole. The program definitely needs to be expanded. Every school needs GNT, but we need to support those kids that are, and for lack of a better word, ahead. I mean, some kids are generally more educational prone than others. And if you don't push them, and I speak from personal experience here, they will get lazy and you will lose strong talent. We are losing strong talent because not all schools have it. So we need more students in GNT. We need more accelerated programs. You need to identify these students. And unfortunately, the best way to identify these students is an exam. It's not the best way. It definitely isn't. But allowing teachers or principals to choose would mean, and no offense, but there are just some parents with better relationship with teachers than others. And it creates an internal bias that unfortunately we are all humans and that's just the way it is. So I hope the program expands. I really do. But I'm very much against tearing it apart suddenly. We need to add to it and push those students who are willing and are working harder and make them work even harder, because those are the ones who are going to excel even further in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tamayev. Next we have is Howard Pollock. I'll time you.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to thank our amazing superintendent, Dr. Pate. Eloquence, caring, dedication. I cannot thank you enough for being our superintendent and for being on our side. Just simply, we want the best for our children. We want the best for our children in our district, no matter what color they are, no matter how tall or short, no matter what educational aspects that they encompass. We want them to achieve the maximum they can achieve. The question is the GNT test, is the GNT program the best fit for them? A lot of parents think it is. A lot of parents think it isn't. What we're here to do is determine the consensus from our district, to listen to parents. And that's what I want to do. I'm a parent. I have kids in middle school. I have kids in elementary school. I want to hear from other parents. You know, my kids took the GNT test. My kid took the GNT test. No, it wasn't any good. But now, you know, she's a gold honor roll at Halsey. So who's to say? What I want is to make sure the parents' concerns are taken into account. And that's what I believe the CEC is here to do. So I'm ready to listen to parents and ready to take their concerns into account right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard Pollock. Rajwinder Kaur.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone, to be here. I'll be very short. Just want to say GNT should be expanded rather than stopped. Every school should have this program rather than the District 28 students, the gifted talented special students should they do not get admission to in their district itself and going to some another district. No, we don't want it. So every school should have this program. And I would love to hear the parents' concern, for which our motive is here today for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, council members. And I'll just add my comments too. So I have 3 kids, right? I have a 11-year-old who I have 2 of them who is in the 2nd grade, and both of them took the gifted and talented test. So one of them got in. This is my son Nathan, and my daughter Layla did not get it, right? So I get to see the same curriculum for the 2 of them all the time. And something that really bothers me a lot of time is I see the curriculum for my son who is in GNT is not meeting his needs. Once they identified, okay, he can learn faster, or whatever the test is supposed to identify, he's bored. He's bored, right? So I don't think the issue is the GNT program. It's the way it's administered. I think it's the way the tests are administered. Is the test really giving us a good snapshot of that child? But also, why are we only looking at a test? How can we as a district, as a city, have a more holistic approach to looking at what, and think of the word gifted to begin with. We're all gifted. All of our children are gifted in some way. Let's provide platforms and avenues for each child to meet their maximum potential and have that fallback, that cushion, that in case they say, you know what, I am not ready, they could fall back, but also have the same force pushing them to do their very best. And that's what I support. And also, again, GNT or whatever you want to call it in the future, but it should not be gifted and talented, should be at every school, in every classroom. Every school, in every classroom. So without further ado, I'm going to unmute our speakers here tonight. I'm going to call the few. We have the first four. We have Jean Han, we have Donahue, we have Danica, and we have Ari Feldman. When I reach Danica, then I'll call the other few. Sarah Wolfe will be next. Sindra, Lauren, V. Singh. So far, we have your names listed in order you put your name here. 2 minutes you're going to speak, and please, 2 minutes. So at this time, I'm going to unmute Jean Han. I just asked you to unmute.
Hi, everyone.
Go for it.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for doing this. This is a much needed discussion, and yes, it's very timely. I want to say a few things. I have a few thoughts. I strongly support GNT, but I also strongly support advanced accelerated education and ability grouping, which is a separate thing. I think there's a misconception about what gifted and talented is. Gifted and talented is, as Elena had pointed out, it differs from, let's say, an honors program where the students are just strong students. So I think it's important to expand opportunities as much as possible for these learners that need the accelerated curriculum. Whether it's GNT or honors, I think that you could do it evenly split across a district where every school has one or the other, and then let parents decide which school, but have something so that it's nearby and it's close to a neighborhood school. I put problems with the district model because what happens with the district model is that we have too many children that are qualified for citywide, but because of the distance, they don't want to go. Nobody wants to send their kid on an hour-and-a-half commute outside their neighborhood. So you have so many children that are being left out and not being able to participate in the district model. I think that ways to improve the program or admissions is to have additional entry points. Not every child is ready at 4 years old. I do think that there are children that are. Mine wasn't. Mine got in at first grade, and it suited her maturity level at that time. I think the DOE has not been doing marketing as well as they could have. And I think that programs of accelerated learning and where children are being grouped by ability need to happen, period, throughout the district. It's astounding to me that we only have one GNT program south of the north side of District 28. It's really, I don't even know what to call that. It's really just not looking at ways to expand opportunities for half the district. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean Han. Next, we have Donahue. I had asked you to unmute. I think you had Donahue. Can you go ahead and Donahue Zhang?
Hi, Vijay. Yeah, hi, CEC28. Yeah, I'm grateful that you provide this town hall so that the parents can express their opinion. I strongly support the GNT, and I strongly think what DOE decided, to get rid of the GNT or to replace the test with the teacher recommendation and the lottery is a big mistake. So I believe that every child is gifted and talented. So, and I believe that, all the children should be talented to their full potential. So having said that, I strongly urge, DOE to expand the GNT program to let at least every school have honor program and have the GNT classes. But before doing that, so many families are in favor of that. So many children have been proved successful on the GNT education. So before we can have more GNT classes. So please keep them. So there is no reason you take something that has been proved working, that has been so welcome by so many families. You just take them away without providing a replacement. So that's truly absurd. So in conclusion, I think our CEC28 definitely should work on to have the GNT classes in every school, at least in our district. So in that way, so we keep our district prosperous. We keep our district more attractive to the parents. So that's the way how it should go.
Time.
Thank you.
Good timing there. Good time. Thank you, Don here. Good seeing you. Danica on
Thank you.
Iwi. I think I said it perfectly. Danica, I'm gonna have you on mute. Hold on a second, and here we go. I'm asking for you to unmute right now, Danica.
Okay. Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Go
okay.
ahead.
Hi. So my name is Donica Owundewe. I just have a few points to highlight, and I just ask everybody again to follow up. So in interest of time. So I just want to piggyback. I don't want to repeat too much. So I do want to repeat, Venus said in the chat early on, highlighting all of our diverse learners. A lot of what I'm hearing, I think people are really just focused on their own children and not all of the children. Really think about education for everyone. I'm seeing a lot of people say, we should keep this program, keep that program, but how can we keep these same things if we really want change? And I'm gonna highlight some things here, but I really want everybody to think about how this country started. If we would have kept slavery, that was working really well for America. However, it did not benefit everyone in America. So of course that might sound extreme, but I really want you all to think about what that means when we say keep some things for a few, just because they are working well for a few, percentage-wise. Keeping going. Ted was saying focusing on the pedagogy. Please, everyone, look into that when you have time. Very important. As these programs get further developed, the gap may continue to widen as we are seeing it. I agree with Jean, that ability grouping, great. Additional entry points, great. I have a very talented, what I think, like people say, talented 4-year-old. He's able to multiply. He just turned 4. Able to multiply, able to read, able to add, able to subtract. But what about his friends who may not be able to do that and are equally gifted and talented in other areas, such as music, such as singing, such as dancing, all of those things. All of our children are gifted and talented. Why are we only labeling a few that are good academically, like my son is, when there are other children who are good at other things? That label, I don't think people are understanding. Labeling, just as labeling children as bad, this type of labeling can work also in different ways. So please, everyone, just explore this, not just for your own child, who I'm pretty sure my own child would get into gifted and talented. Like, that's it. All right, done.
You got a lot in there. Thank you so much. And next we're gonna have Ari Feldman. I had asked you to. There you go. Ari, go ahead. Next.
Hi.
Ari, 1 second, please. Ari, 1 second. We're gonna be closing the chat feature to speak. It's gonna be ending at 7:45 because we have to leave enough time to get all those who did sign up to speak. So 5 more minutes for those who want to put your name to speak. Then at 7:45, we're not taking any more people who put their name to speak on that. So Elena, the list will be ending at 7:45. After Ari, we have Sarah Wolfe, we have Sindra Ahmad, Lauren Calvin, and V Singh. You can just be prepared. I'll send a message to actually to unmute, and you can unmute when we call your name. Ari, please go ahead.
Hi, thanks a lot. I'm Ari Feldman. I am a parent of a student in D28 and also a former teacher in District 28 and also a former teacher in District 79, which is students who are in detention. And I want to say that we think a lot about this kind of straw man argument of some people want GNT and other people don't want GNT. And I think that's a really false way to look at it. What some people want is programs for GNT where students, individual students, stay in that program and other students do not go into that in and out of that program, right? And other people want programs where that are more fluid, right? The school-wide enrichment model is one that was promoted by the Diversity Advisory Group from a couple of years ago. And that is one where students, I keep hearing a lot of people saying, we want G&T in all schools. I agree, but that doesn't mean segregated G&T in all schools, right? There are schools in our district that have G&T, but most of the kids in those schools don't have access to those programs, right? What we want is for all kids to have access when they need it, right? There needs to be opportunities for students to, if a student has an ability in reading, they need to have that opportunity to excel in reading. If a student has really good skills in math, they need to have those opportunities. But not every kid is going to be good in both. And some kids are going to be really, really good in some and not as great in others. So it's really important to make sure that we're programming for all of our students so that everyone has access points in as often as possible. And that means not having separate segregated G&T programs, but instead the school-wide enrichment model or something like it, where students have consistent opportunities. Thanks.
Thank you, Ari. Next we have Sarah Wolfe, followed by Sindar Ahmed.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm a District 28 parent whose children attend PS 175, and I'm also a teacher in District 28 as well. And as a teacher for 17 years, I've seen firsthand there are many ways to be gifted, yet these gifted programs only really show how a 4-year-old does on a random Saturday. I want to make clear that teachers are more than capable of differentiating for gifted students within a general education model. I have students with a wide range of abilities enter my classroom. So I teach band. Some kids come to me with 1 to 4 years of playing experience on an instrument. Some kids don't know which end of a trombone to blow into. And every year I challenge all of my students and everyone makes progress. It's our job as teachers to teach all the students and to find ways to differentiate. I also coincidentally just finished reading a book on this topic of gifted education curriculum for a graduate course I'm taking in education. This book offers strategies for modifying curricula for gifted students within existing general education curricula, acceleration, enrichment, higher level questions, real world problem solvings to grapple with. All of these are strategies for these students. And teachers at PS 175 are already doing these things. My 2nd grade son is well above grade level in both reading and math, and yet he is challenged by his wonderful, hardworking teachers every day. So I just want to stress to everyone that it is absolutely very possible for gifted students to succeed within the general education model. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Next, we have Sindar Ahmed.
Hi, thank you, Vijay. Hi, everyone. I'm Sidra. I'm a little winded right now. But I am an alumna of a District 28 school. I went to the Queens High School for specialized, sorry, I'm a little winded right now. I went to the Queens High School for the Sciences, which is a specialized high school. And between that and my experience teaching civic education, I've seen firsthand how segregated the New York City public school system is. And I think G&T programs and similar screening mechanisms will only perpetuate that. And the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement have showed us how unequal and how unfair our society is. All students deserve a quality education. We should not be splitting up students on the basis of a colonialist, biased test that favors students who tend to be white, who tend to be Asian, who tend to come from upper income families, who tend to have who tend not to have disabilities. And I think G&T is a distraction from the fact that we should be advocating for a high quality, equitable education system that is beneficial for all students, irrespective of where they go to school, irrespective of what their identity is. And we've seen today that only 8 Black students got into Stuyvesant. Is it because Black students are not capable of getting into Stuyvesant? No, it's because this test is outdated. It is racist. It is a tool for perpetuating systemic racism. And when we continue to maintain screening mechanisms like gifted and talented programs like the specialized high school system, that is only going to continue. So if we really care about having a more equitable society in light of the pandemic, in light of the Black Lives Matter movement, then we really need to make that true in all aspects of society, specifically public education. And so with that being said, I think we should get rid of G&T, and I think we should really focus on having integrated classrooms and we are able to teach kids of all abilities.
Cinder, are you okay?
Yes, I was working out right as my name got called, and that's why I'm so winded.
I felt that's how I sound when I'm like on a cardio machine. But it doesn't help me, the cardio don't help. But you know, I'm glad you're okay. You got it out. That's great. Thank you so much for your voice. We appreciate you being here, joining your workout. Next, we're gonna have I don't see Lauren Calvin. I looked for your name on the list of participants. So I'm gonna skip right over you, Lauren. If you do come back, let me know. We'll call on you again. V Singh, then we're gonna have after V Singh, we're gonna have Ron Britt, Joel Nkui, Jessica Zilo, Simone Donbach, Elizabeth Polkovitz, Venus Ketchum, Nativea Lewis, Raf Lena, Jennifer S, Heather. And so right now it's closed, right? Elena, the speaker list is closed, so perfect. So V Singh, please go ahead.
Hi, so I actually agreed with Ari Feldman in that he was talking about how there needs to be more equity and equality in how we structure our education. I don't think that the GNT test is so much of a problem as the fact that there is inequality and inequity in how we structure our education. It's not so much a matter of children who can take the GNT and pass the GNT are not deserving of it, but that deserving students are not being given the things that they need, the kind of structure and education they need to be able to pass that test. GNT kids tend to go into the GNT program and stay in it. They can clearly handle it. They're clearly smart enough for it. I know it's not equal across the board. My daughter was smarter than my son any day of the week at the same age, and she didn't get into GNT, and he is breezing through it. So it happens. But overall, I don't think the problem is the fact that we have a GNT program. The problem is that we don't have enough support for the kids who need it in underprivileged sections of our society. I think there needs to be a proper overhaul in how we approach what GNT is. And exactly as Ari said, Mr. Feldman said earlier, it's not so much a matter of you get into GNT and you're great at everything. My son does 5th grade math right now. He's a 1st grader. GNT is not helping him in the way that he needs. I have to independently teach him to keep up. But he's only doing 2nd grade reading. So it's not ever equal across the board. Some kids may be very talented and not be in the GNT program. They still need the boost and the support they need to have the grit and tenacity to go ahead, because hard work and grit will go higher than talent any day.
Thank you, V Singh. And so I acknowledge Principal Marina Manjares is here. Thank you for being here, Principal Manjares. Always on our platforms every day, all day. We see you. And if you have any other principals, just let me know. I'll always want to acknowledge all of you. Thank you. Next, we have Ron Britt, followed by Joel Nkui.
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, sorry, I had one of those jumbo jets flying over my house. One of the
Are you at the gym also? I'm joking, go ahead.
One of the issues we deal with. Yeah, my name is Ron Britt. I live here in Southeast Queens. I have 4 children ranging in ages from 6 to 16. I'm a member of the Jamaica NAACP Education Committee, but I'm here speaking for myself and obviously not for the branch. The new GNT process will effectively replace the use of an objective test, which I say was also severely flawed and inequitable, with a subjective evaluation system for admission to GNT programs. This new subjective evaluation is going to disproportionately exclude low-income, minority, and immigrant students, which CEC28 has a significant amount of, while increasing the likelihood of mismatching students with schools outside of their immediate neighborhood. Pre-K teachers are not trained to identify accelerated learners, and we'll likely see inequities furthered by this short-sighted, simplistic admissions process. By delaying the vote, many of you know the mayor allowed pretty much political grandstanding, and the PEP members to triumph over the needs of our children, our families. Unfortunately, the new process, it still favors highly engaged, knowledgeable parents and families that live in close proximity to GNT programs. This means, families who have traditionally not participated in the program due to, like you showed, lack of availability in our local schools, lack of parental awareness of the existence of the program, will likely, basically be left out again. I encourage the council, to adopt a more universal screening or opt-out model that GNT seats throughout Southeast Queens.
Thank you, Ron. Did you hear Howard? Did you hear? Make sure I heard it very clear.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for being here. Next, we have Joelle.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Joelle Kenway, and I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak with the council tonight. I went through the gifted program many, many years ago as a child. And right now I have one child in a gifted class and one child who's waiting to hear the lottery results. And so I definitely support the expansion of opportunities because the numbers show that there are not enough seats for children. Not getting into right now the children who haven't even applied, but even the children who have applied and passed the former test, there weren't enough seats for those children. So I completely understand that the program in its current form will be discontinued, but essentially I need more information on what's coming up. I've been following the news from the mayor, the interest groups, the blogs, the Facebook groups, so on and so forth, but I need more information from the decision makers and I need clear explanations on what's being offered to children who are currently in the program and those students who are not in the program. We don't know, as parents, we don't know what's coming up in this coming year. Well, what's the impact on the kids who are in there now and what can we expect for children applying this year and coming years? There in the past year, we've all been through the pandemic. There's so much misinformation, uncertainty, and it's really terribly frustrating not to know what's happening in the upcoming school year. So we need, more information so that we have a chance, the families, the schools, our administrators, our principals, our teachers have enough time to plan for September and, really make whatever we put in place successful for our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jessica Zillow. Jessica is the co-president of President's Council, and she's doing a lot of great things in our district, and her and Barbara Williams, who is also co-president. So Jessica, go for it.
Sorry, I was unmuted and then I was muted and now I'm unmuted again. So my name is Jessica Zillow. I am currently the co-president for District 28 President's Council. I'm PS220's PA president, and in which case that's sort of how I'm speaking tonight. PS220 does have a gifted and talented program. Our program has a wide range of diversity that is made up of all backgrounds, socioeconomic and academic levels, including students with IEPs. Our students are not segregated within the classrooms. They're able to meet other kids within the building, right? But what I'm most worried about is the incoming kindergarten class with the new process and how kids will be chosen, because our kindergarten classroom cannot fit 25 children, right? And so I understand the test is dead, by the way, that they're not coming back with the test, they'll come back with something else, but the test is dead. But I'm worried about overcrowding, not only for our school, but for the other schools and how the placement will actually work. And so I'm just worried about space concerns. And that's definitely something that the pandemic has shown as well, is that overall the Queens schools are definitely overcrowded. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica, and thanks for all your selfless work in our district. Next, we have Simone Donbach.
Hello, good evening. And thank you for organizing this important town hall. I'm speaking as a parent, and this is my own opinion. I believe the GNT, that the way it is designed currently, it should not continue. We have seen your slides earlier, VJ. It is inequitable as the numbers shown. There are too few seats for way too many children, and at the end, there are only just like just a few children who get an actual placement. And as we have heard tonight, the majority of the G&T schools are in the Northern District. There are not enough schools in the South. So for me, it's important to you parents to know that it's not that I don't want your children to succeed. I understand that all parents want the best education for their child, just like I do. But it shouldn't be at the expense of other children. And that's right now the system. The G&T is at the expense of other children, and that should be changed. So if the G&T can be created into something that really benefits every child in the New York City public school system, I'm all for it. But the way it's run currently, it's really not something that should continue. I also would like to make the suggestion to have a town hall for parents of IEP students, because they are actually the ones who have suffered most during the pandemic. Many children were not able to have their services provided because of how the schools were set up, because they couldn't go in person. And I'm just a little bit surprised that the children who have suffered most are being left behind. I don't know that there was any discussion about how the services for IEP children can be improved. But yet we are discussing the services for those children who are already thriving. So if you could think about that, I think that would be really great. Thank you all.
Thank you, Simone. And we appreciate, again, feedback is important. We thrive on feedback. We do our best when we get feedback from the community, and this is exactly what we want. Please send us emails, messages. I'll leave my email on the chat over here. Thank you, Simone. Next we have is Elizabeth Polkovitz.
Hi, I'm speaking to you tonight as a parent who's had children go through both the program at 174 and at 144, and who was on balance disappointed with both programs. I am disappointed with G&T in general because it's not available everywhere. There are places that in this district that are just not well served by available programs. But one of the problems with the former program was that there were too few entry points. And so you've got precocious 4-year-olds who happen to be early readers or good at math early, who may level out, or they may not, but then you have the late bloomers, and they don't have any on-ramps in elementary school. The last feasible on-ramp is first grade. After that, there just aren't any seats available. I also didn't like that sibling preference favored kids who already had an older child in their zone school. None of those programs serve twice exceptional kids very well at all. It can be very difficult to get IEP services if you're also gifted, because your talents let you do better. And then neither program did any meaningful math acceleration. I would love to switch to a school-wide enrichment model, provided that was live. I think that every school should have some type of program. I lean towards some type of push-in program for everybody rather than pull out or locked cohorts. And I think that we need to build vertical enrichment into the curriculum. It is possible to build a math curriculum that teaches second grade math and introduces third and fourth grade concepts to the children who are ready, just like we allow and encourage kids to read on their reading level if they are reading ahead of time. We can do that in math too.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Venus Ketchum.
Hi, good evening. Let me put my camera so you can see me for a second, then I'm gonna turn it off. Hey, I miss you all. I've been roller skating Monday nights, Thursday nights. That's why you haven't seen me for a while. I'm Venus Ketchum, community education activist, committed to closing the racial, economic, and academic achievement gap in Queens School District 28 and the greater Queens area. You've known me for many years, product of G&T, IGC back in the 80s. There's a lot of opinions around it. I just want to make sure that every Black and brown parent that hears my voice understands whatever side of the fence you're on, this conversation is happening. And until GNT stops, it's still moving forward. So we must prepare. That's what I want you to understand, is that until it comes to a halt, there are parents who are advocating for it, and we want to be a part of that conversation. It needs to be discussed at every school on the South Side with the same rigor that it was discussed when I was growing up in District 25, and it currently isn't. When I visit elementary schools throughout Southeast Queens, they don't know about the test. They don't know about excessive prep. They don't know, teachers are not encouraging every parent to register their child to take an exam. In my consulting, I encourage every parent of a 4-year-old to have your child take the gifted and talented exam at 4 years old when you're in pre-K. Not because you want to get into the program, but you want to know what's out there. You don't want to be blinded to what's going on while we're fighting to change the system. We want Black and brown parents to be empowered about what is out there and what the test looks like, so that parents can see, you know, maybe my kid can understand these concepts. Of course, Black and brown children are brilliant. And we hope that tests will come out that will highlight their unique learning styles. Thank you.
Thank you, Venus, and grace in your face. Long while. Thank you. We know our parents in our district. We love all of you. Next person is Nativea Lewis.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have a couple things to say. One, you don't stop the benefits of something because it doesn't reach all. You try to evaluate and modify to make it more inclusive. And I've seen like both sides of the argument. I believe that for the GNT, it should be kept. It should be a compounded model, maybe 50% of the test. It's semi-objective, although it's skewed. I mean, really and truly, you should not be having to test prep 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds to take a test. But you know, maybe 25% recommendation, but also it's normally an entry point. There's lots of students who have never been to a school or a daycare. Who's going to recommend them? And you know, maybe 25% that's held back for those in every school programs. You know, maybe having some kind of evaluation when they come in, similar to what you do for like higher ed. The new process has eliminated also the options for parents whose students did not enter in kindergarten. This year, I think there's no option for you to opt into first grade or second grade. And I also think that similar to the way that there's a push now to have a D75 program in every school, because students need placement, there should be that push and the resources behind it, and being brought up at all the district meetings and so forth, to have GNT pushed into all of the schools, rather than just being discussed at forums like this. In fact, as you said, there's some people mentioned it, there's a lot of kids who are doubly gifted. So you may do well on a test, but have a lot of other issues, and finding ways to have differentiated instruction for all students is a better way. You don't want to get rid of the program. You want to find what's working from it, which schools it's working in, take the bits of that and expand it everywhere. From my personal experience, I remember having a 4, almost 5-year-old having to take a bus for an hour. So yeah, I think it should be everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Nativea. Thank you so much. Raf Lena.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I think the point I wanted to make was just to try and take it away from the student level and more about what the state is doing and what the state is sanctioning. And at the end of the day, whatever the program is that allows kids into GNT, or if we call it school enrichment, right now what's going on is that 70% in a student system where 70% of the students are Black and brown, 25% of them get into GNT. That means the state is doing something wrong. That means the state is sponsoring a segregated result. And that means the state needs to change what they're doing. Whether it means that we expand to a school-wide enrichment model, or we make better inroads in marketing. The bottom line is, if we keep putting it on students, that means we're putting it on the students and the parents to figure out how to navigate a segregative system. That never works. I don't know any I don't think it's fair to put it on the families of Black and brown children to figure out how do we get around, how do we over test prep, how do we get marketing to help us deal with a systemic issue. If the president can recognize systemic racism, I think we have to recognize it here in this district. And we can't accept these results unless we recognize that these results will continue so long as the same process is continued. So I think we just need to remember that it's about what the state sponsors and that the state can't be in the business of segregating. And right now it is.
Thank you, Raf. So I see Jennifer S.'s name is on the list here, but is that Jennifer? Hold on one second. Let me just make sure. Heather, I know how to unmute you, but hold on one second, Jennifer. Heather, one second, please. It's Jennifer Sobers. Is that you? Jennifer S? No, right? I don't think so.
Her camera's on. She's got a thumbs up right now.
She did who? Jennifer Sobers?
Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer Sobers, go ahead.
Hello,
Heather,
hello. Yes, that is I. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for this town hall. My family lives in Jamaica. Our zone school is low performing with no G&T program. I put my daughter in local Montessori and private schools that are majority African American. My older daughter took the G&T test and was placed in a program in Forest Hills that has been an excellent fit. She's getting an excellent education as well as being exposed to diverse cultures that I only had the chance to experience later in my life growing up in Harlem and then getting a chance to go to Bronx Science and vice versa. She's one of one or two other beautiful Black children in the class, and this has enriched the lives of her white and Asian classmates. Is there a flaw in G&T testing at an early age? Maybe. My daughter couldn't sit still at age 4 to score higher in the test, and then she aced it at age 8. So not doing well in the test at 4 certainly didn't mean she wasn't gifted and talented. Should all schools be high performing and challenge all students? Absolutely. I support all efforts to get excellent education for all students, including students in mostly Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. And I would love for my daughters to just be able to walk across the street and get a great education instead of having to wake up at 6 o'clock to get the bus to Forest Hills. But this is a goal that's been trying to meet for decades and decades. So I think G&T is needed until education is reformed. G&T has been a godsend for my daughter, my older daughter, and I hope that my younger daughter will get a chance to experience it as well. Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next, Heather.
Good evening. Tonight I'm talking as a parent. I have twin freshmen in high school that were in the at PS 174. I live in Rego Park, and I had one child who tested into the gifted and talented program, not in kindergarten, and another child who did not ever, who was in an ICT class her entire career. And what I will tell you is, what I experienced at PS 174 was a principal who worked hard to meet children where they were. There were gifted and talented programs at every grade level. But what I noticed were children who weren't in those classes were given opportunities, whether it be lunchtime, before school, after school, to be in programs that enhanced and enriched their education because she had the capacity to see that there were gifted children outside of those gifted and talented classes. And that brings me to the point where I think we need to be looking at this from a much different perspective. We need to be looking at this from a program that I remember in the 90s when I was studying education of multiple intelligences and understanding that we have children who are gifted at all different levels in all different ways. And this particular program seemed to focus on just a few isolated areas as opposed to looking at the child as a whole being. So as we look at this program moving forward, I think we need to think about that. And we need to always be thinking about, are we meeting the child, the learner, where they are? And are we motivating them to go up that one level? We talk about raising 1s to 2s and 2s to 3s. We need to be asking ourselves with this child, are we raising them up? We need to be considering the fact that some of our very talented students have autism and have the inability sometimes to control themselves. So sometimes testing isn't the best way to figure out who those gifted and talented people are. And we need to be checking every year to make sure that these students that are in those gifted and talented programs aren't drowning because maybe they were doing really well here, but now that the program has grown, are we still supporting? Are we still meeting that child where they are? These are all things we need to think about. And it is wrong to have, okay, just last point. There has to be a program in every single school. There cannot be inequity in elementary school education ever. What is in one school should be in the other. Thank you.
You got it in. There you go. Thank you, Heather, for all you have to do. Community Board 6 and all the community work we do. We acknowledge that too. Okay, I don't see Clara on NR. Clara, are you there? Is anyone seeing a hand up? C-L-A-R-A. I'm searching you in the participant list, Clara. I'm not seeing you there. So this brings us at this point here. We had 156 at one point parents join us today, and this is exactly what we wanted: to provide a platform to hear our constituents, to hear all of our stakeholders, all the parents, anyone who had a voice that they wanted to speak about this topic, a platform to do so. You requested, we provided. And I want to thank my fellow council members for agreeing to be on this platform, for showing up again and again. You know, my dear friends, we are in election season right now, but the current council members, you're phenomenal. Thank you all for what you do. Thank you all for showing up, for being here, to agreeing to do the hard work. Because tell you what, we've been meetings after meeting after meeting, but we do this because we said, we vowed to listen to your voice and to provide platforms. Tonight, we got a request for a town hall for IEP. Don't be surprised if you see one coming up very soon. This is what we do. I sent you all my email there. Send me requests, send your feedback. Without further ado, I'm going to ask Dr. Mauricio de Gavaya, our executive superintendent, to say a few words, closing remarks. Then I'm going to have Dr. Pate say closing remarks, and then I'll close it off. Dr. de Gavaya. Dr. de Gavaya, can you hear us? Okay, so we're waiting for you to give your closing.
Okay, there it is. Okay, I think I was being unmuted on the other, I'm in two spots. So thank you so much, President Ramjat and CEC28 for this forum, and parents, thank you so much. I've been taking notes here and typing away as you've been talking. This conversation is extremely timely. I'm hearing both sides of the argument and those who are in between. You know, as we're moving forward as a society, we as America within New York City, we've gotten a diversity down to a T, and all the conversations around where there is opportunity, where G&T provides opportunity versus where it takes it away along the lines of systemic racism. These are the very conversations that are happening within the department. And the hope is that as we become more clear about who we are as people and what all children deserve, and I have to say that all children deserve and have accessibility to, that's the line that the DOE is going to run down, I'm sure. There is so much work to be done, and it's not going to be a one-time thing. It's going to be more like a one-time thing that happens 100 times in 1,000 different ways until we nail it. And we're clear that the diverse needs and desires of parents are on the table, but we're also clear about what side of history we want to be on as a society. When we look down the road 20 years from now, I heard a lot of the stories that sounded like mine. I was the only Black girl in my IGC. Esther Bemis shared that one, and that was me. And I heard Ms. Sobers talk about her daughter and having her child, like she's one of two. There are things that we get to really rectify and be with as a society that we see playing out on the other side. We see how it plays out in the media. We see how we have issues within policing. We see how our Asian American brothers and sisters have been attacked in the streets. We are seeing how society is playing out. And we know that at the heart of that, it's how education has been evolving in our country over the years. Education is the first socializing agent that our students face. So we want to make sure that as we design programs, because schools are a place where we get to create, or we get to disrupt. And I know that I'm committed to being on the right side of history, and this conversation has truly been impactful. I will definitely be sharing this information with the enrollment office. And of course, I'll follow up with Dr. Pate, and I'm always available. I'll put my email address in the chat. I love to hear from parents. Know that my email is always slammed, but I'll see it. And even if it's a comment, glad to take it on. This has been very informative, and thank you so much for the space.
I want to say thank you for being here with us. You know, you always answer to our call. We've been trying to get a panel together for this GNT topic, their community, and it's hard. It's hard. No one wants to come on these platforms because they feel like, you know, they're going to be slammed and they're going to be insulted and harassed and blamed. Dr. Degovaya and Dr. Pates, as soon as we said we need you guys, we need both of you, they said yes, yes, and yes. And this is something that we have to work as a team together and support all around. And we thank you, your service and your support to our district. Dr. Degovaya is invaluable. We acknowledge that. And we thank you for your partnership. And we look forward to you always attending our meetings. Thank you. Dr. Pate.
Thank you so much. I love us. That's all I'm going to say. The chat it has been lighting up on all day, all evening, and the contributions there have given us a lot of thought. Like Dr. Degovaya, I'm note taking, and some of the big points that I am taking away from it is comments about the randomized lottery and whether that is meaningful at this point in time. Comments about what a more inclusive structure could look like. And also comments around GNT in every school, as well as other specialized programs in the district. I'm fighting for that. If you have an opportunity to speak to all of our district planning folks, they will tell you I make it very uncomfortable in those meetings. And I do that on purpose, just so you know. Because they have to understand what we are advocating for in this district and what we need in this district. And that is an education that is suitable for all of our children. And that is, you know, doable for our families. You know, I had a son who was in a GNT program, and, you know, he didn't love it. He didn't love it. Because there were other aspects of his education that was not met in that setting, namely the fact that he is an outstanding musician, and there was no opportunity for that. This was a lot of years ago. My child exited the New York City Department of Education many, many years ago. My oldest. I have one left in District 28 high school. But it is important that education is available to our families and an education that is suitable for the needs of our children, and that equity is a big issue. We know as a district family, however we feel about these conversations, we know that there's evidence of inequity in our district. What is available to some is not available to others. And that is the fight that we fight every single day. Until we have that level of equity across the district where a child can get into a school in any area in our district, and it is an exceptional school. That's the battle I fight every day. That is what the conversations I have and the support I'm giving to school leaders and to teachers. You know that we are doing it again. Last year we did a 4 teacher by teacher. We're doing it again. I'm sorry I'm speaking so long, but we're doing it again. I thought I would plug. I felt like I could plug the work that we are doing with regard to social justice advocates that we are deliberately creating in our district. You're going to hear more about it because you have a role to play. We are working on units that are being written by teachers from across our district. We're going to bring and present those units to you and get your feedback on them. And then I'm going to ask you to partner with us in helping us to support our students as they take on an initiative across our district. So that's some of the work that we do. I don't want you to think that I am sitting in meetings being philosophical about this work. I believe that until you put boots on the ground and approach this challenge from every level. And I have great agency about what happens in classrooms. And so we're taking it to those streets to ensure that we are upping the ante on what is being taught in our schools and the level of proficiency our teachers have and the quality of education our students experience in every classroom across District 28. I can't go anywhere and do anything until that's a true statement. I can't do anything until that is a true statement. So that is where I have a lot of pressure. Sometimes it's scary. I appreciate that. But you hired me to do this job. You gave me you're good to go. And if anyone knows me from my military days to today, I answer my calls. And so that is what we are doing here. We are intentional about an excellent and exceptional education for every child. That's where my passion rests. I am tired. I'm sorry, I get a little amped up. You all know that. It's coming from the very best place because I love this district and I love and appreciate the families that have allowed me to do this work. So thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Dr. Pate. We as a district have grown used to having the uncomfortable discussions, right? From the diversity planning when we first, this first council came in, and then just 2 years ago, and we had to have these very uncomfortable discussions where we have pros and cons, right? But something that was working really well in our district was this council has managed to say, we want to have those conversations. No matter how difficult it is, we should be having those conversations every day, every time, at every chance that we can. Because guess why? There's always room for improvement. Today, all of your voices, dear parents, and all of you who came tonight and spoke, you motivate us to provide these platforms because you show up. 157 of you showed up today and said, yes, we care about this because we had an idea. You said, yes, that's good. And you spoke, and we want to thank you for that. Please continue to speak. Don't be silenced. And encourage your fellow parents and school culture to come to these meetings and speak. This is one council that I can speak proudly of, that we provide platforms for open conversations, and no one is given any better treatment than anyone else. We all got 2 minutes. Yeah. So my dear friends, having said that, it's now 8:22. We did great. We did wonderful. We had a great hour and a half town hall tonight. It was wonderful hosting this town hall tonight. We will continue to bring town halls and to get feedback and to gauge your temperature on different things. We look forward to talking to you. May 6th. May 6th is the big date. Is our next meeting. Our next calendar meetings was on May 6th. That is on the Thursday, May 6th, 6:30 p.m. Please go to our website, CEC28.org, and all the login information there. To all of our principals, all of our administrative assistants, all of our educators, all the custodians in the schools, all of you who are doing the groundwork to even have a school system in place. We thank you. We acknowledge you. You are our heroes. We acknowledge that. Last but not least, save the best, right? Crystal Weiss. She is our administrative assistant. I am a little tough on Crystal, like, Crystal, we got to get this, we got to get that, we got to get this. But we work well together because she understands my passion. She understands what this council wants, and she understands this district well. And Crystal Weiss, we acknowledge you. We thank you for all the great work in helping to put this town hall together, and for the millions of emails. Dear folks, their community, their district council members, and their entire community, good night. You can all unmute now. I'm going to ask all of you, Sonia.
Yes, I'm here.
There you are. Please give us your praise. Go ahead.
So I want to say this conversation gives me hope. I am the social worker. And so one of the things, you know, we always say we meet everyone where they are, but no conversation, no mental health, no movement can happen if there's no hope. And I think having these often difficult conversations, but having that lens where we are actually listening to each other, not necessarily agreeing, but listening, really gives me hope for this district to continue the amazing, hard and difficult work that we are having up to this day. And I'm proud to be part of this district, proud to be part of this team. And thank you, Council. Thank you, Dr. Degowaya, Dr. Pei, and to everyone here this evening. Just thank you, and let's keep the hope for us, for our kids, and for our community.
Bibi Matadin, are you there, Bibi? Can you please give us your thank yous, and thank you for doing all you do and supporting our council. Bibi?
Hi, thank you, VJ. Yes, I just want to say that this is a fantastic idea in getting parents and just bringing folks together so we can listen and hear what they have to say around GNT. And as mentioned before by Dr. Payne and Dr. Degowaya, that, you know, there is no forward thinking of what that process looks like as yet, but we will certainly share the feedback that we hear here tonight with the folks in the Office of Enrollment. And really appreciate being here just to listen to everyone. I think this was a great audience. You had 157 participants, VJ. You keep leading, and the council keeps breaking records. I mean, you are the example that other CECs can really model after, right? And set their councils up for success, just amplifying the parents' voices. So keep doing what you're doing, CEC28. Awesome job.
Thank you. We are the first to do this town hall in the entire city, to have this brave step to do a town hall. So guess what? We're going to keep fighting for you, our community. Please unmute all the parents, allow them to, everyone to unmute. Let's hear your voices, see your faces, and say bye-bye. Please go ahead.